We are ready. I am ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Jim? Jim's good.
Jim's never ready. I'm just messing with you, Jim. We love you. Yeah. Shut up.
Welcome everybody to Samurai Reviews review video. We are your hosts.
Josh.
We are your hosts. Yeah. We have Josh and then we have Brett. Today we'll be reviewing Birds of Prey.
Harley
Quinn.
The female Joker one.
Right.
Yeah. One of them DC movies. They changed the name a couple times. I think they settled on Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. Which is not a good sign when you release your movie and then a week later you're like, let's change the name. Like, they're not good.
Okay, the synopsis of this movie is basically Harley Quinn has made enemies around Gotham.
It's this mercenary and he goes through this like mutant testing and he kind of gets burnt in the process, but he has powers now, so...
No. That's Deadpool.
Oh!
That's Deadpool. Yeah, that's the wrong movie.
Oh, silly me.
It's the same thing, but... basically, Harley Quinn tries to pay her debt to go after this pickpocketer, but decides to join the good side of things with her ragtag team, later called Birds of Prey.
Like way later.
Yeah, way later.
Credits later.
I'll start it off. I'm going to give this rating a 4.5. It's just right below average. Walking out of this movie, I thought it was an average movie. But man, once you kind of sit on it and you think about it, you break it down scene by scene, it is not good. It is not a good movie. And the only reason why it stands good is because of Harley Quinn. And Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn, the actress that plays Huntress that comes up in there. They even do a great casting with Canary, but man, they give her terrible writing, terrible just stuff to work with. Well, anyway, that's basically like why it's just below average for me, was because I have to give credit to like the portrayal of those characters in the movie. So just a little thing. This movie is basically just a ripoff of like many movies, but just executed poorly.
As most DC movies are.
Yeah. First of all, Deadpool, like the whole narration is, and breaking the fourth wall in this movie. Harley Quinn does the same thing, and you're just like, you're not Deadpool.
Comes out of nowhere too, because we've seen her in Suicide Squad, and that didn't happen then. And I know that it wasn't her movie, but like, you can't just like go from trying to rip off Guardians of the Galaxy to trying to rip off Deadpool. Like, that's what every movie she's in. They just try and rip off Marvel movies.
That's so funny, because I put the next one, but Guardians of the Galaxy, the reason why they ripped off Guardians of the Galaxy is because they picked the soundtrack before they actually made the story for this movie, which is what Guardians of the Galaxy did, but like they did it better.
There are definitely times in this movie where you're like, why are they playing this song right now? And then it just ends like in 10 seconds, and you're just kind of like, did they just literally just do that just to have that be a part of the soundtrack? And that's, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. There's one scene in particular that I'm thinking of where she just gets up and does like a dance while this guy's talking to her in her head. And I don't know why. And then it just ends. And then she comes back and she's like, oh yeah, what were you saying? And that was like it.
There's a lot of those happening in this movie where you're just like, where did this come from? Why is this happening? What's their motive? What's the tone? What's this? What's that? And it's just, you're just confused and nothing makes sense because everything changes. And it's exactly like Suicide Squad, where in the end, they try to make a lighter universe, even though it's supposed to be our dark universe, rated R, Harley Quinn. And like, it just doesn't make any sense. The direction is bad. The writing is just awful. Maybe cinematography is just basic because like there's nothing that really stood out in this movie. maybe besides the last end scene when they're on that thing and they're fighting everybody. But still, like, the action didn't make any sense there. There is no visual appeal. There's nothing that really stood out to me. There was no emotional impact. I really didn't care. I just wanted the movie to be kind of over with. And the entertainment level was just the same as Suicide Squad. It was just bad. They try to make it a dark universe, but they're not making it a dark universe.
They get nervous and they're like, oh, we're doing this movie about this anti-hero or anti-villain or wherever you want to place her on that spectrum. But they're like, that's where we're going to put her. She's going to be kind of a bad guy, kind of a good guy. But they don't they don't put her in the gray area. They just have her swapping from hero to villain. Instead of having an anti-hero or anti-villain, she's just hero sometimes, villain sometimes. Yeah. And it's one or the other. It's a hard line that they draw, and that's not what you want in this one of these darker movies. And they do not know how to straddle that line at all.
In the end, they kind of have her side with the more of the hero kind of thing, which doesn't make any sense because that's not Harley Quinn.
And they haven't established, like, they're trying to say that she was a bad guy, but I've never seen her be a bad guy other than like one time in this movie, and it just comes out of nowhere and you're like, why are you all of a sudden bad? Like, you were good. It's a combination of their rushing things because they want to catch up to Marvel, and they just honestly don't have any idea how to do it themselves.
The only thing I really liked, like I said, it's Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn. I think she does an excellent job of portraying that character. It's just the writing that she has to work with is what's killing her, and they need to find new writers for that. I absolutely 10 out of 10 love The Huntress. I loved her story, her backstory, and like her duality between like she acts tough and she's just trying to prove that, but like it kind of goes off the wrong way. Yeah. And it's a good balance of like comedic relief in that, but the rest of it should be dark. Everything else should be dark. Whoever played what's her name that played Huntress, the actress, amazing job. I think she portrayed that character just on point and like absolute, like her best with what she's given. And then Black Canary, I enjoyed her backstory. The first time they introduce her and she fights with somebody was amazing, but then after that was just garbage. And she doesn't like use her powers until like the very end, which comes out very cliche, and it just ruins it. That's my review.
So this movie,
take it away.
This movie is, look, bottom line, this movie was fun and it was entertaining for me to watch. I didn't hate every second I was in there. The parts that I hated were the parts where I was like, this could be so much better. And I know we say this a lot, but another thing I hated was that it's been done and it's been done better. We've said that for a couple of movies now, and this is another one that fits that phrase perfectly. Like, why can't you? DC has good writers. They have, first of all, just look at the comics and you'll be fine. Second, you have people that wrote Aquaman and Shazam and Wonder Woman. Those are good movies. Could be better, 100%. But those are actually like solid movies. All those got above a 6 from us, and I don't know why you can't just go off of what those writers are doing or just use those writers even. And the one thing that you told me when we were talking about this after we saw it was they don't have a Kevin Feige. They don't have some guy that's just like putting all these pieces together and making sure everything flows within the universe that he clearly has a passion for, or she.
Yeah, Kevin Feige's a big nerd. He's a geek for those Marvel comics. Like, we don't have anybody. I don't know why I say we. They don't have anybody within that DC universe that's excited about like making these movies and making these movies right and producing them like properly. So that's one of the things that they're lacking.
That is, yeah. So that's my bigger problems with this movie. However, I did enjoy it. Like, I was never bored and wanted to leave or anything, or was like, this is a waste of time, because they do have fun scenes. And Like you said, the actors do a very good job. I liked pretty much everyone's performance except the detective and the child. The kid is absolutely garbage. And like keep working, keep doing your thing. I know she's just a kid, but Christ, that's bad acting. And I think that lies with the director. My point is, I'm gonna give this movie a 5, but I'm super, super reluctant. But I'll give it a 5 because it does have Harley Quinn. It's not a good portrayal of Harley Quinn. It's just Margot Robbie portrays Harley Quinn well. The movie didn't. I liked the actress that did Huntress. She does a good Huntress. The movie didn't. The woman that does Black Canary, I don't remember her name right now, but she's a great Black Canary. But the movie makes her a bad Black Canary. And so I enjoyed the performances. I hated the story that was told.
Yeah, I even think Ian McGregor would have done a great Black Mask.
So Ian McGregor was a very different Black Mask. If you know Black Mask from the comics, he's a lot more stoic and more aggressive, like more intimidatingly aggressive. And in this one, he's a very flamboyant personality, and it was fun to watch. Like I enjoyed his performance. It didn't really make sense, but I enjoyed his performance, and there were definitely some jokes they tried to pull making fun of his personality that just kind of felt ham-fisted, and it was just kind of I get it, but you didn't this. You can have some, again, another word we use a lot, nuance to your jokes is, and like I said before, it's basically just Deadpool, but not as likable of a character, and doesn't have any character consistency on top of that. The motivations are inconsistent and the abilities are inconsistent throughout this movie. There are characters that just feel shoehorned in, like the detective. Did not need her at all in this movie. I felt like she was a hindrance on the story. I don't think the actress did poorly or anything. I don't think she did great, but I think it was just more one of those that's a throwaway role you don't need in your film. Her fighting with people didn't make sense because the other ones clearly had training or combat experience or powers to some extent. Canary does, and she doesn't use it nearly enough. You get to see Canary cry once, which sucks. That would have been so cool to see incorporated into fight scenes, her using her scream in different ways, but whatever. Hopefully that's not a spoiler. I don't really care at this point. But
you shouldn't watch it anyways, so.
Yeah. If it's on TV one day, give it a whirl. It's definitely not worth seeing in the theaters right now. Yeah, characters make decisions that made no sense for them to have made from what you've seen throughout the first hour of the movie. Then they'll make some decision. You're like, weren't you doing the exact opposite before? It's starting to feel like a DC trademark to have people play a good character that's written poorly. And it's really frustrating because I really, really want to see a good DC universe because it's one of the bigger superhero universes. And to see the Justice League and how big it could possibly get, because Avengers has always been kind of a few-man operation, but the Justice League is massive, and to have so many movies that can interconnect with each other would be so cool to see. But I don't think we'll ever get there because DC is so hung up on catching up to Marvel or doing what Marvel's doing that they can't create original works that they already have made for them in the comics. And it's really frustrating as a DC fan, as a superhero fan, to see that.
This would be an average movie if they can actually get the core of the characters and have them portrayed properly. We know Spider-Man's core. We know why he's fighting, what he's doing, his motives and that kind of stuff. We just didn't get that in this movie, yeah. And that's why it's terrible. Yeah. Even Deadpool, he's not even a hero in the first Deadpool, but you understand his motive. You understand why he's doing stuff. The core of the character is there, and that's why it's such a good movie.
Oh, he did that earlier, so yeah, of course he would do that.
This one, we're just all is Harley Quinn good? Is she evil?
They don't know what to do with her. They do not know what to do with her, and it's dumb. One more thing I'll pick on before ending my non-spoiler is that it's just personal because Black Canary is probably a top 3 hero of mine in the DC universe, and I feel they just absolutely drag her through some mud in this movie. She is the only one of the heroes in this movie that is actually just supposed to be a hero, that isn't darker. She's darker, but she's good person, you know, like she actually does good. And in this movie, she is complicit in some bad, like she lets like this one woman get like sexually like assaulted and like berated, and she just like sits there and is like she just lets it happen. And like Black Canary would not let, she'd be like, hey, stop. Like she's a badass. She's one of the biggest badass. She trained the Young Justice crew. Like she knows what she's doing and she can handle herself. But in this movie, they let her just be complicit. And she's like, I don't want to save people, like, or whatever, right? The whole movie. And it's like, that's not, why are you doing that? She's a badass. Let her be a badass. And then she has like a few moments later on in the movie where she's been very like, she's trying to be helpful and she's trying to save this kid. And she like clearly, they're trying to make her a good guy, but like in their own messed up, not correct way. And then at the, like later on in the movie, it gets serious where they're coming to kill this girl and she starts joking around out of nowhere. And it's just like, it's out of nowhere. It's seriously out of nowhere. It doesn't match her character that they built up for the entire rest of this movie. I just don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what the thought process behind that was. And I don't know. I don't know how many cuts they made or what, but it just didn't match up with the motivations that they've shown so far. And like I said, like the jokes in general just usually don't connect. And they might be like, oh, it's kind of funny, but it's kind of like funny, and then you kind of like, why though? So I don't know. I give it a 5 because it did entertain me, and I mean there are some times where it was funny to an extent, but like I said, if it's not Harley Quinn and if it's not Black Canary and if it's not Huntress, like if it's just 3 new characters that I don't care as much about, this movie is below a 5 easily.
Okay, that comes out to a 4.8. Yeah, Samurai Reviews for Birds of Prey.
Birds of Harley Prey.
Birds of Quinn.
Fantabulous Quinn.
Oh yeah,
of Prey.
Yep, there you go. Hope you guys like that. Our review video for whatever. Yeah. I don't want to go through that again, but if you did, please like that button, subscribe, and share. We'll see you guys next time on our next review video.